Live from Wrestling 911 headquarters, I'm the SnowMan Jones, and I'm here with the Gargoyle. Gargoyle, where are you broadcasting from today?
I am broadcasting from Parts Unknown.
I've always wanted to know where Parts Unknown was, but I guess if I knew it wouldn't be unknown, huh?
Well, I will have to send you the secret directions to Parts Unknown, because you're one of the few people the Gargoyle can trust.
I appreciate it. You know, they should put that on your Garmin. Just put it as my favorites, Parts Unknown.
Absolutely.
In fact, I'm going to start tagging people on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/911Audio, or excuse me, 911 Wrestling. I'm going to start tagging our pictures as being taken in Parts Unknown.
Absolutely.
So next up, we've got a lot of topics to cover, but one of the big ones is NathanMania. Did you read a little bit about NathanMania, and can you kind of give the fans a little background of what's going on?
Yes, I did. NathanMania was a benefit show put on by SUW promoter Dante Brown and his organization to raise money for a young man. His name is Nathan, obviously. I can't recall his last name at this juncture in time.
Nathan Todd, something like that?
Leukemia or cancer, and all the proceeds and profits were to help this young man and his family with medical expenses.
Now, Bruce Santee, who's normally a main eventer here in the state of Florida, had posted on his Facebook page that this event raised over $4,000 for Nathan, who has been diagnosed with brain cancer. So what I like about this isn't one of those shows, which we saw a lot of them, where they always said proceeds go to help so and so, and they give $20 to help something. You know, like.
Right.
They'll say, proceeds help the Goodwill, and then they'll just take donations at the door, and that's what they say is the proceeds, you know?
Yeah.
And I've always had a very frustrated view of when wrestlers and wrestling organizations say that the proceeds go to something. So in this case, I think it's legit that they raised about $4 grand for this. And then, like we saw on the board, to some degree was about some unknown amount of money was donated by Hulk Hogan, who's your mortal enemy. The immortal Hulk Hogan is your immortal enemy. But that's nice. I got to give Hulk some credit, even if we don't love seeing him in the ring. I don't mind the guy in the ring. You're not a fan, but kudos to Hulk Hogan for donating in those regards.
Absolutely. I'm not taking any away from the guy's heart or the charity work that he's done. Yeah, you know, I never was a fan. Even in his prime, I wasn't a fan. And it's even worse now. There's a time when you got to realize you need to step away from the ring. And Hulk, do us all a favor. Step away from the ring. But kudos to showing a kind heart, especially with the financial circumstances that he's in, to donate some money to help, you know, this young man and his family. I'll give kudos to Hogan for that.
Right. And, you know, I guess one of the big things with Hogan is the guy went from having $100 million in the bank, went through divorce, so he lost $50 million of it, we'll say, and we'll just do rough estimates here. Had the big lawsuit with his son and had a settlement on that was probably $20-30 million. So, and then, you know, he bought a couple houses at the top of the housing market as part of that Hogan reality show, and wound up with two houses that are worth half as much as they were. You know, bought these $5 and $10 million houses that are worth next to nothing now. So the guy went from having $100 million in the bank to having $1 million or $2 million in the bank, and I'm sure my numbers are off. But that's interesting that Hogan is not the super rich person that he used to be. He's still living fine, and you know, he says he's hurting for money, and he's still buying a Dodge Charger, you know, every couple months or whatever. So it's not like he's a pauper. But it seems like the only reason he's still doing the TNA gimmick, I don't think because he loves wrestling that much. I think he just feels like he needs the money.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. That's why he's doing the Aaron's rent-to-own TV commercials and all that other stuff, dude. Guy needs cash, you know. I mean, through those series of you know, the unfortunate accident with his son going on, and then the divorce and all that other stuff. Hey, you know, reality sets in. You don't have all that cash anymore. You got to do what you got to do to survive. So, but that's, you know, off topic. You know, I was impressed with the job that FUW did, and all the guys who donated their time and stuff to raise money for Nathan and his family. Man, that's commendable. And like I said, there's too many scam charity shows, as you said earlier, and it was good to see Dante Brown and the FUW crew step up to the plate and raise money for this young man and his family.
Now, neither one of us saw the event in person, but my understanding anyway, of the end of the show is they had a battle royal. $500 goes to the winner. All the FUW guys go into the ring, and Ken Kendrick is the last man standing. He celebrates like he won the $500. He's happy about it. Cammie's happy about it. Then they announce that there's one more participant. Nathan jumps into the ring, again, the sick cancer patient who's healthy. My understanding is that he's healthy. He just has brain cancer. You know, he can still play with the kids or whatever, but he's going to be undergoing treatment. Jumps into the ring, flips Kendrick out of the ring, wins the $500. Then guys like Titan, Santee, all these big, decent name indie wrestling guys come into the ring, throw him up on the shoulders. Guys like Michael Tarver are there, Sin Bowdy's there. So a bunch of former WWE guys are in the ring, all celebrating, throwing Nathan up on their shoulders. Now, we had people saying that there's no reason that Nathan need to be in a match, in the ring, etc., etc. It makes wrestling look bad. And other people just saying, you know what? Good for this kid. Good for FUW. They're making this something that everyone who is at that event is going to have a great taste for FUW in their mouth. They're going to buy tickets in the future. What are your thoughts?
I'm one of those ones who are on the side of great job for FUW for giving this kid a memory that he'll have for his whole life. You know, granted, there's a takeaway from the suspension of belief and, you know, the proposed reality of wrestling. Sure, but in this instance, you know, the kid's got cancer. They're raising money for him and his family. You know, you gave that kid a moment he'll never, ever, ever forget.
Right.
And that he'll cherish, I'm sure, for the rest of his life. You know, so I have no problem with it. I think it was great that all those guys decided, you know, to do that for the young man. I'm all for it.
Right. Well, you know, another piece of this is, you know, it's not unheard of in other sports, too. I can remember particularly, we'll say baseball. You know, sometimes whether it's a Make-A-Wish thing or it's a Hollywood thing, you know, during spring training, during whatever, maybe after the game is over, they'll bring someone in and let them do a little something. I remember Tom Selleck, when he was advertising, I think it was Mr. Baseball or something like that, he got to do spring training with the Tigers, and he got to actually bat and pitch, or not pitch, but play first base and whatever with the Tigers. I think he at best might have walked once. And then you had Ahmad Rashad, I remember, coming out for some preseason games, hitting a couple jumpers, and sure, they left him a little more open, and it was a preseason game, so it didn't matter. But what's to say that, you know, the FUW situation, the match was already over, Kendrick won it, and so what? Let's say it's a shoot, and so Kendrick lets the kid throw him over or whatever. I think there's no harm in it, and I think there's a lot of good out of it. The good certainly outweighs the bad, so I'm very proud of what FUW did.
I agree with you 100%. The good outweighs the bad because it actually shows the fans that there are promotions and wrestlers out there that care about their fans, that have big hearts, and are willing to help out for good causes. Plus, it's going to enhance their reputation, in my opinion, you know, as a good promotion that will do the right thing.
Right.
You know, so to me, the goods far outweigh whatever slight suspension of, you know, belief or ruining the reality aspect of the wrestling business, you know.
Right. And, you know, everyone associated with it's going to be happy with it. Everyone, you know, everyone who just went there for that one time is going to have a good taste for wrestling. That kid's family's going to be coming to wrestling for the rest of their lives. That kid, he's going to always love wrestling. So you just made a whole bunch of fans for life, that's when you make wrestling fans. People don't start wrestling for the first time when they're 50. Either they liked it when they were 12 and they just loved it from then on, or they don't like it. You know, like people start off as wrestling fans when they're early, in most cases. When did you start being a wrestling fan?
I started roughly when I was about 9 or 10 and living in Orlando, and I used to watch the old Florida Championship Wrestling on television.
Wow.
That's when I started it, and I've been a fan ever since.
I didn't realize that you were a fan. I knew you were a fan at a young age, but I guess I didn't realize that you were in the Central Florida area when you were watching the old Championship Wrestling from Florida.
Oh yeah, I lived back in Orlando before Disney World was built, and when McCoy Air Force Base was there, and you know, and Orlando was really nothing.
Wow.
Back in the 70s. Yeah, I'm that old, man.
Good for you. Now, but that proves my point, I think, a little bit, or gives us a good case there, is that people pick up wrestling when they're young, and people who watch wrestling when they're older, if anything, things like this give them a fondness for wrestling where they'll like it for the rest of their life. So kudos to those guys. They made a bunch of fans. It's going to pay off in the long run, and it's going to help this kid and his family. So I think a lot of good was done.
Absolutely. I concur 100%.
All right. And you know, frankly, for Dante Brown, who's running a wrestling promotion that's really striving to get national exposure, it did that for him. It was on Lords of Pain. It was on Marcus Pitt. It was on 911. Hulk Hogan, you know, had it on his Facebook page. So, you know, if nothing else, you know, he got a bunch of people to donate money. Dante ran a free show. He's not making tons of money off those shows anyway, so maybe he broke even. He got to pay for the building or whatever. I guess it was at a bar anyway. But the wrestlers probably contributed their time, but you got a lot of media exposure, and you got us talking about it, and it's going to go into FUW as one of those all-star greatest moments. So, good. You know, you paid for some media exposure, and he got it. It's probably covered on the local news.
Exactly. I'm sure it was on some of the local news or in the newspaper, at least down there. And I've also heard, I'm not sure if you heard anything about this, that FUW became a member of the NWA recently. That's true.
That's true. I'm excited to see what that means. Hopefully it'll mean some more talent is coming in. Dante Brown's really got some big things going on in FUW. And the fact that he has I don't know if he has a controlling share, but he has a share in Shine as well. He, if I'm not mistaken, he has some sort of working relationship with, excuse me, Steve Kern at NXT and FCW, and there were some rumors that he bought Florida Championship Wrestling's name from Steve Kern, because Steve owned it, and they're using NXT now. So there's a lot going on for Dante Brown. I think that's one of the more exciting spots in wrestling in Florida.
Yeah, I'm really enthused and impressed with what he's got going on down there, and he had that recent show in Jacksonville a couple months ago where it was a half FUW, half Evolve show. Unfortunately, my plans got changed and I didn't get a chance to go. But, you know, once again, he's moving out of his backyard up into the northern part of the state. You know, you get that relationship with Evolve going. Now you've got the thing with the NWA going. Dante looks like he's, you know, making strides and making some big expansions for his promotion.
Right. And if nothing else, he's also toying with the iPay-per-view with Shine and with Evolve/FUW. So he's learning how we can make some money with that, which is good for everyone.
Oh, I hear you. Plus it would give, you know, some of us fans who are familiar with the people down there and can't always, you know, let's be real, I'm a working class kind of guy. I can't road trip down to Tampa and Orlando every weekend to see the guys that I like, you know, and the IPPV would be a great idea. Plus, you know, draws in additional revenue. So,
absolutely.
Good for Dante.
All right. Well, folks, that brings us to the end of the show. Glad we could cover NathanMania with Florida Underground Wrestling. I'm SnowMan Jones. This is the Gargoyle. We'll talk to you later.